When the stream ends, the conversation should not end. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep going. We are in an important moment in history. And what you do is going to determine the outcome. 2020 is going to be talked about for 20 years, 100 years, maybe 1,000 years. But the future's not written. It's up to what you and I do and what you and I decide is going to happen. I'm going to do this town hall. It's called We the People. And what we want you to understand, we want to talk so you can take action. And this is going to be an interactive experience. We're going to give you tools, information that you can use in the real world. We want you to screenshot stuff. We want you to invite people into this conversation because that's really, I think, what's needed. We need a bigger conversation, and we're going to use technology to do it. You know, for me, Black lives have always mattered. That's not new. Black lives have mattered from the beginning of time. What's new is the willingness of people to talk about it. And we have an opportunity to amplify the discussion and to move things forward, especially today. This town hall we're doing, We the People, is going to have some of the biggest voices for change in the country, all in the palm of your hand, including Killer Mike, who is just a legend in my mind. Jamel Hill is going to be here. We're also going to hear from Elaine Welteroth. Now, she's an author, but she's already made history. And she's made history because in the history of Condé Nast, with all the magazines they own and control, only 2 people have ever been named editor-in-chief, and she is one of them. So please welcome to this conversation, Elaine Welteroth. Look, I am so happy that I get a chance to have this conversation with Elaine. I mean, this sister is just bad. She's bad. She's a New York Times bestselling author, award-winning journalist. She's been a judge on the new Project Runway. I mean, she messed with Michelle Obama. She's just bad. So I want to talk to you about this moment. It's just been such a mix of inspiring protests and killings and stuff like that. Talk to us about your range of emotion over this past period of what I call this great awakening around justice.
It's been really heavy. It's been really emotional. You know, this is not new for Black people in America, right? We have been grieving for a long time around these same kinds of senseless murders. I wrote about, Philando Castile's murder, which really represented in my book, and I wrote about it from the perspective of being one of very few Black people in the office at the time when I was so devastated. So it was so hard to get out of bed that morning, let alone proceed as business as usual. And I wrote about what it was like coming into the office that day, expecting or anticipating that other people might be feeling some of what I was feeling, just as humans, as feeling, thinking humans, and feeling like everyone was able to move on like business as usual. It feels so relevant once again now, thinking, 4 years later, here we are again. But the difference is that the response from the rest of the community, folks who are non-Black, are finally seeing this moment as a wake-up call to get off the sidelines and to get involved and invested in this fight for justice. So I can say that since being in the streets and attending a number of protests, there is something different in the air this time. There are a lot of emotions I think we're all moving through or trying to move through to get towards the collective action that we all need to take. There is so much work for all of us. So I think we're all feeling that pressure, we're feeling that weight, but I think we're also feeling empowered that this time has to be different. It has to be different.
You've been on this. I mean, you really have been not just an inspiration, but you've been offering really education to a whole new generation through Teen Vogue. And you were doing it when it wasn't. Now it's trendy, now it's popular, but you were doing it when it wasn't trendy. when it was kind of shocking to see Teen Vogue kicking on these issues. Why did you make that choice? Because you're saying other people now are going to have to make similar choices to be a little bit more brave and bold, but you were doing it when it wasn't cool. Why? And talk about that. By speaking just about fashion, we were ignoring the range of interests that were central to them, the issues that matter to them in the world. And so we made sure that we were creating more of an intersectional feminist focus, and that included fashion and pop culture, but that also spoke to, you know, intersectional feminism and social justice issues. Black Lives Matter. You're right that there was no model for success for that at the time. There were a lot of people that were like, oh, Teen Vogue? Talk about politics? Justice issues? Like, and we got pushback, you know, folks thought it wasn't our place to go. But the reality is that young people have been at the forefront of social justice issues for generations. It was certainly, I won't say scary, but there was an uncertainty about how it would pan out, but we knew that we had to do the right thing, and we felt we had to be a part of the right side of history. And I'm very proud to say that we have been, and I'm so proud of the team there that's leading that charge today. But you're right in that I think a lot of companies are now confronting that same reckoning of what do we mean now? How do we mean more to our community? How do we right size to make sure that we're meeting this moment and that we are on the right side of history and that we are better serving our community and our audience, our consumers? Well, let's talk about that, though, because you can actually give some advice to people who are working at these brands, whether they're at the top or whether they're the intern. You know, these brands are going to now have to do some of what you've already done. I mean, when you're a pioneer, that means you've been there, done that. What do these brands need to do to get relevant and to catch up to this moment? So there's 3 steps I would say that any individual brand or corporation can follow here, or I recognize that I could do better. And so it's, I think, important to just acknowledge what you play, what part have you been playing in this, and take inventory. What does the complexion of your newsroom look like? Who's in your boardroom? Who has those board seats? And let's look at every level of management, all the way down to the intern level. Take an honest assessment of where we are. And I don't mean just looking at your campaigns. And so we have to push ourselves to go further. And so that's part of step 1 is taking. Step 2, take ownership, acknowledging where you need to change, where you need to do better. And then the 3rd step is take action, do better, commit to being a part of solutions that are going to move us from where we are to a better, more equitable future. So, for example, Sephora said they're going to give 15% of their shelf space to Black-owned brands. Now, I think, to me, that's a lot. I mean, does that strike you as too much, too little? I mean, what is that when you talk about taking action? Is that the kind of action, or what kind of action might really meet the moment? Is there something I can do with my contacts, with my experience, with my skill set? What can
kids have the ability to adjust and move and be like water. They're truly plotting, planning, strategizing, organizing, mobilizing. The skateboard kids came in. Usually you would see in the 60s, black people look like me. We make public protests. We get our heads split open. Sympathetic whites and allies and people who truly believe in freedom, justice, and equality entered the stage. Now, not only are you beating black people, you're dragging off white people. And it became a tapestry, a unified front to give us our most basic civil rights and acknowledge our human rights. That tapestry is happening again, and it's happening in a bigger and better way. I was talking about those skateboard kids. I saw those kids first come in as defenders. When police were hacking with people with batons, they held up the skateboards to protect them. Most kids who skateboard, my kids skateboard, most skateboard kids in the South don't look like me, right? But I saw the skateboard community literally come in and save protesters from beatings, and then they got really frisky and they started attacking back. And I was like, this is, although I don't want violence in the streets because those kids deserve to grow to be adults without being soldiers against the state that their parents pay taxes to. It impressed me that the proletariat showed government that you work for us. And in this moment, we are exercising our right to make public display of the evil that has happened. It makes me proud that I live in a country that has long promised equality, rarely given it to people who look like me. People who don't look like me defending.
You made an interesting note and observation about the skateboard crew. And I think anybody who's watching has noticed that it's not just black people who are out here protesting.
No, it's not. It's a tapestry of people.
It's a tapestry of people.
The Amish. The Amish.
Yeah. Wasn't that crazy?
I didn't even know the Amish saw the news.
I was thinking, who told them? Right? It was like, how did
I was so impressed though. I was so thankful. My heart was filled with joy.
Yeah, so you're seeing all these different types of people that you never thought this issue would resonate with them. It kind of reminds me of your music. Your music is unapologetically pro-black. Unapologetically, yes, right?
Absolutely,
but yet, when you look at a Killer Mike fan, it's across multicultural section of people. Yes. Why do you think your music is able to resonate that way, despite the fact that you are also clearly talking to your people?
Yeah, I'm proud to be me. I like me. I like black people. I'm not making no excuses. I'm not making no apologies coming in the door. I love us. I am in love with us. And because I love me, it has nothing to do or affecting my love of others. I have a very good friendship with East Indian cousins, Raj and Neil. They own the store right next to Walters on What's Happening. So if you're from Atlanta, you know about Walters. If you're a big guy from Atlanta, you know about, the store right next door. These guys have always just been good to me. Raj went to India. He came back, brought my wife incense, these beautiful little elephant characters. He's proud to be Indian. I've learned about being Indian from my Indian friends. When you're truly who you are, how could you be offended? How could you not love it or like it? Like, man, I'm a part of the original people on earth. I'm from the continent that birthed all humanity. I think when you wear that proudly and unapologetically, and not from a place of needing someone to be below you, there's no reason for a people not to like me. I like you. I got plenty of heroes that don't look like me. There's a portrait of John Brown on my wall in my basement. He's a hero. He doesn't have to look like me. You know what I mean? But I refuse to act like people who look like me aren't great. I didn't say good. I didn't say good enough. I didn't say equal. I said great. I'm from a great and mighty people. And if you can't accept that, then maybe I'm not for you. But I believe that because I am simply who I am, I believe that gets accepted. Because you know what? I remember being on the tour bus, and I'm on there with a bunch of Northeasterners because of course, my rap partner's a white guy from Brooklyn. And we're on there and they're watching Swamp People, and everybody's laughing. And I come up and stagger into the front, and I look at it and I start smiling, and I look at the room and say, I got more in common with them than any of y'all. And I just walk to the back. Now, because it's the truth. I'm a Southern boy. My grandparents from Alabama and rural Georgia. I grew up more like people on those shows. So I think across cultural lines and across racial lines, people identify with me, but just because I'm your typical American guy. You know what I mean? And I have some special things I'm not going to deny that I'm special. I was a smart kid, went to Morehouse, had an understanding of some cool stuff. I married a beautiful woman, that helps, But I think that ultimately what resonates with people is that I'm a regular guy. One of my best friends in the world is a white guy from Brooklyn. So I think that people understand that I have the ability not to look past your race or ethnicity, not to look past who you are culturally, but to look at it and love it and learn from it without wanting to co-opt it or be it.
What you're talking about in a very succinct and robust way is really allyship. And that's been a word that, you have it sounds like you have a lot of really great allies that are in your life. Now in this moment, I've gotten the question constantly, I assume you have too, about how to be an ally. What do I have to do? Right? I've had so many conversations with white people, like really good friends of mine in the last 2 weeks. So all right, guys, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but
hold on
a second. But that being said, is that what would you say to somebody who wants to not only be an ally but be a good ally?
If you want to be a good ally in this moment, white corporation, white person with the means, that's a worthy allyship. On a ground level, if you're just working hard every week, you don't know what to do, you're an electrician, you're a plumber, grab one young man who doesn't look like you, a young woman, and teach them that trade. That's allyship. Allyship isn't just throwing the money, but if you got the big money, put it towards somewhere. But on a very real and basic level, my son had an accident with a man named Keith. I bought my son a car. My son Malik, with a very pretty girl in the front seat, rear-ended this guy. Calls me. I pull up to Keith and the police officer. I say, if he'll allow me to handle this privately, I just don't want to call my insurance company because, I had just got in an accident. I drive fast. My son, Keith, in good faith, gave me the opportunity to do that, and me and this man became friends. I'm literally friends with this white man who told me about Atlanta pre-white flight and desegregation, who's taught me about fatherhood and the importance of presence in your child's life. That doesn't happen if we're not open for it to happen. So an allyship with white people, that person to educate you. So an allyship is not just calling your black friend saying what I do. It's going to black organizations that might be local and saying what am I do. It's calling your friend and saying, what's the next thing you're doing? And I want to be an extra set of hands. Doesn't mean you get to go to the black people meeting, but it does mean that they say, I'm going to feed people on Skid Row. You show up, and you show up with empathy and care, and you do it. And I'm going to tell you, we need doctors in that space. We need lawyers in that space. We need legislators in that space. We need the people who are really empowered to be in that space, because there's some things that need to happen on ground level that once the grassroots people have gotten it here, there needs to be money put behind these things. A lot of the problems that we have now that are erupting could have been solved in 96, 2006, 2016, and all these other years, but we chose not to because we trusted the right thing's going to happen. Right thing's not going to happen unless we make it. And after that, you have the potential to truly be brothers and sisters. You have the potential to be past the letting cultural, national, religious markers evict the fact that I know that I'm talking and I'm with a human being, and at our very core, past any physical difference, my job is to honor the soul of that other human being. So there's no need to have allies because I'm not at war. I truly have a brother and sister. There's no need to have an ally because there's no threat of war. I refuse to send any 18-year-old boy or girl off to die. And that has to be something that's much, much deeper than policy, much, much deeper than the human condition in the last 500 years. We have to get back to that. So that's my humble opinion. I don't know, where that takes white America, but I hope we stay standing up, fighting together.
Mike, we've been having this great conversation, and a lot of people watching, they probably want to know, because, again, these things happen in flashes where 1 minute we're talking about this, everybody's fired up, everybody's willing to do things, and then the next minute, the momentum dies. So how can the people who are watching now, how can they keep this conversation, this action, this momentum going?
Take this conversation.
Brown folk and Muslims, everybody else. So we're trying to confer a benefit to you. We're trying to make you better. It'll make my life better, but it'll make your life better too. Now, what charity are you supporting?
Well, as some people can maybe see my T-shirt, it says support Black journalists, right? The lack of still Black journalists in most newsrooms is pretty appalling. What changed my life and what got me really on the right path in this business was being a member of the National Association of Black Journalists. NABJ is the largest minority journalism organization in the country. The development, the networking, job fair, internships, scholarships, what happens there has changed lives. It changed a lot of people's careers. I mean, people like you, Van, and everybody you want to think of, Roland Martin, Soledad O'Brien. It's just a number of people, Michael Wilbon, that are a part of this organization and have been able to build legacies there. And so it's on us to, again, usher in this next generation of young journalists who, I get it right now, feeling really discouraged when they look at not just what a lot of news, also we're under the, under the shadow of a pandemic right now. So there's a lot of journalists who have lost their jobs. A lot of companies are downsizing. They need a reason to believe and to be in this business. And so NABJ has done so much for my career and continues to do that for others. So that's the charity that I support and the organization that has changed my life and that of many others.
Well, listen, I second that, third that, and fourth that. NABJ is a beautiful organization. I've got groups I want to support as well. But what I want to say to you is just thank you for your light, for your leadership, for your courage, for your entrepreneurship, for your T-shirts and all that type of stuff. Make sure to support the sister businesses, and let's keep this conversation going. Much love to you.
Thank you, Van. This is a pleasure.
I got good news for you. I got bad news for you. The good news is that people are activating all around the world, all across the planet for change. That is a powerful moment. Here's the bad news. Unfortunately, this is not a one answer fixes everything situation. We're talking about systemic problems, which means it's not just one law or one person. You need 360 degrees of change to shift to get the outcome that's right. But we can get there if we keep talking, if we keep working, if we keep building. And if we do that, we can reshape America. That can be done. It's been done in the past. We can move the whole world in a better direction. So I hope that your cell phone right now is full of screenshots of these tools that we've been trying to give you to continue taking action from this virtual town hall. When the stream ends, the conversation should not end. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep going. We are in an important moment in history. And what you do is going to determine the outcome. 2020 is going to be talked about for 20 years, 100 years, maybe 1,000 years. But the future is not written. It's up to what you and I do and what you and I decide is going to happen. So I want to give a special thanks to the powerful voices that we've had, Elaine Welteroth, Killer Mike, Jamel Hill. Make sure you visit 50percentpledge.org to learn more about the power of money. Also visit my organization, reformalliance.com. We're trying to make a change. Let's be about it, not just talk about it. I'm Van Jones.
Hey, ¿qué tal mis amigos Extremers? Bienvenidos a su canal Extreme Android. El día de hoy estamos presenciando la conferencia que había de los periodistas por la situación que está pasando en Estados Unidos, no sé si se ubican. Estos últimos días ha estado algo intenso la situación por allá y es por eso que se realizó esta tipo de conferencia con los periodistas para sensibilizar más a la población en cuanto a lo que está ocurriendo. Y por eso quise grabarlo, aunque varias veces me botó de la conferencia de lo que se estaba presentando en la pantalla. Pero aquí estamos y ya lo grabamos. Y es también para reflexionar, ¿verdad? Es algo que sensibiliza a la población, sensibiliza a la gente y a todo el mundo. Y espero que también algunas personas tomen conciencia por todo lo que está pasando allá en Estados Unidos. Y bueno, eso sería, chicos. Igual ustedes también, si es que tienen un pensamiento medio sesgado o cuadrado, pónganse a cambiar. Y pues continuando con eso, vamos a una partida de Fortnite en solitario, continuando con el video. Muy bien, streamers, ya estamos aquí de vuelta y vamos a comenzar con una partida en solitario para terminar este video. Esperamos ganarla y pues continuamos con la partida en Fortnite. Vamos a ver si tenemos algún amigo conectado. Ok. Carga. Aquí comenzamos con la partida en Fortnite. La verdad no podemos caer. Primero podemos ir a Parque Placentero porque acumulaciones aireadas. Medio que me matan muy seguido por ahí. Ok, ¿quién está disparando? ¿De dónde es? Que no veo. A ver, esperen un momento, déjenme configurar. Creo que la configuración la tengo hasta bien al 100%. Ok. Nivel de concentración máximo. Vamos a caer en Parque Placentero. Estoy escuchando noticias de que el agua va a bajar el 11 de julio. Y ahí vamos a poder ver un nuevo mapa. Bueno, vamos a ver el mapa sin agua. Y creo que se van a poder implementar ya los autos. Así que va a estar genial Fortnite. Igual con la salida del 2 de julio. Por en honor al 4 de julio, al aniversario de Estados Unidos. Al día de la independencia de Estados Unidos. Salió el Capitán América, que está genial la skin. No la pude comprar, pero sí la vi en partida. Varias veces me mataron con esa skin, así que sí está genial. Ok, vamos a ver, aquí hay un cofre. Listo. Ay, qué genial, escopetita. Está bien. Exacto, perfecto. Subfusil y... Ok, ay, no. No, me quedé sin materiales. No, me va a matar. Ah, suerte. Esa suerte. Ok, no estoy hablando, fue por un momento de concentración. Ahora sí. ¿Dónde estás? Eso sí fue suerte. Por acá, está por acá. ¿Por dónde se metió? Bueno, parece que se nos escapó. Vamos a seguir avanzando. Creo que tenía ganas de matarlo. Ok, parece que tengo estos dos botones al revés. Vamos a ver, 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 vamos a ver. Recolectaremos materiales ya que no tengo ni madera ni piedra, todo se me acabó. Ok, escuché disparos por allá. Vamos a buscar peña. Listo. Pues bajo todo el escudo, ¿qué es en serio? Igual estaba escuchando, creo que tipo van para acá. Sí, oh, no. Maldita desgracia. Bien, ahora sí vamos a subir acá. Aquí vamos a buscar más peña. A falta de auto, vamos a empezar el barco como... Ok, a ver, vamos a finca frenesí. Vamos a ver si hay gente por acá. Ok. Finca frenesí, parece que tampoco hay gente. También recolectaremos un poco de madera. Listo. Listo. Hay gente. Ok, 33. Listo. ¿Qué vamos a descargar? ¿Tiene Scar? Sí, un Scar. Vamos a cambiarlo por este. Y estaba viendo, por acá tiene pociones pequeñas. No tiene solo una, así que hay más gente, hay más gente, hay más gente, hay más gente. Aquí parece que entró a la casa. Aquí acabamos de cumplir un logro. Oh no, puta, nos tomó por sorpresa, vino por arriba. Ya, una más. Qué tontera. Ay, nos agarró por sorpresa. Quería tomar esas balas. ¿Y cómo es que no se partió las piernas cayendo así? Ya, bueno, siguiente partida. Ahora nomás. Y vamos a la siguiente partida. Vamos a matar ahora sí. Ok, me distraje. Mis cachorros. Ok, hasta mientras ya que estamos acá. Esto que me por acá, esto que me por acá. A lo mejor por acá esto. No quiero usar más esto para acá. Ya. Listo, ahora sí. Vamos a ver dónde caemos, dónde caemos. Sin conferencia de nuevo. Bien, 3, 2, 1, bajo. Parece que está cayendo harta gente. Deberíamos intentar hacer esto, a ver. Eso. Y aquí hay cofrecito. Exacto, bienísimo. Ahora la clave va a ser caer por acá. Ya que allá hay alguien. Uno menos. Ok, tenemos su escopeta. Tres bajas. Bien. ¿Quién está ahí como Rambo? Vamos a ver. Vamos a avisarle que estamos por acá. Te está matando a diestro y siniestro ese tipo. Listo, uno menos. ¿Cuántas llevamos? 4 kills, bien. Bien, bien, bien. Parece que va a ser una buena partida esta. Ya tenemos balas. Cofre, 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 cofre. No, acá. Hay más gente, hay más gente, hay más gente, hay más gente. Acá tenemos 40 balas, bien. ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está? ¿Dónde está avanzando por acá? Parece que cayó acá. Sí, aquí está, aquí está. Listo. Hay más gente, hay más gente, hay más gente, hay más gente, hay más gente. ¿Dónde estás? Parece que se ocultó bien. Y llevamos 5 kills, bien. Y genial, esto me viene bienísimo. Una maderita más, bienísimo. Ahora sí. Una buena mejora. Y vamos a venir por esto. Bienísimo. Vamos a ver cuántas kills nos hacemos en esta partida. Más vida, más vida, más vida. Eso. Más escudito. Vamos a llegar a full. A full. Eso, bienísimo. Oh, no, parece que hay tiburón por acá. Hay que escapar, hay que escapar, hay que escapar, hay que escapar eso. Tenemos suficientes balas para matarlo. O sí, ahora vamos a ver qué botín nos puede dar. ¿Dónde estás, tiburón? Puta. Eso. Bueno, no me dio un buen loot, pero bueno. Listo. Vamos a la zona. Sí, está bien. Y bien, vamos a ver si no se me acerca. Bien. ¿Qué pasa por allá? Son saqueadores. A ver si podemos matarlos con... Bien, esa parece que está bien. Esa, bienísimo. Bien. Eso. Eso. Una más, una más. Eso, una menos. Eso. Este de acá está con el sniper. Dale, 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 dale. Oh, no. Pues bueno, mala suerte. Ay, qué tontera, fue una llamada. Pues bueno, chicos, aquí creo que voy a terminar el video. A la próxima yo creo que voy a estar subiendo un video, una partida ganada. Este fue el evento de las entrevistas a los personajes, a los periodistas de Estados Unidos por el evento, por los eventos ocurridos. Y aquí acabamos el video.